Before we begin, pause for 1 second. Imagine highly trained elite troops stepping into a jungle they believe they understand, only to realize within minutes that the jungle is watching them back. This story starts at that exact moment, right before confidence turns into confusion. Stay with me, because what unfolds challenges assumptions about modern warfare, training, and humility. And before we go any further, comment below where you're watching from right now. Your country, your city, your corner of the world. Because this story connects far beyond one jungle, and you'll want to be part of the conversation when the ending lands. The mission was never meant to be public. Officially, it was a joint environmental familiarization exercise, but everyone involved knew it was something more. Deep in the southern Philippines, where humidity feels like weight and the jungle breathes on its own schedule, a small group of Filipino jungle warfare instructors prepared a training lane. Across from them stood elite Korean troops, disciplined, confident, surgically precise in their movements. They had trained in mountains, urban ruins, freezing seas. The jungle, they believed, was just another terrain. That assumption would quietly unravel, step by step, leaf by leaf. At first glance, the jungle looked ordinary. Thick foliage, uneven ground, buzzing insects. But Filipino instructors saw layers invisible to outsiders. They noticed which leaves had been disturbed by animals, which mud held fresh water beneath the surface, which silence meant danger. The Koreans checked equipment, sync watches, and reviewed formation spacing. Everything was correct on paper. What no manual explained was how the jungle rewrites rules without announcing it. The exercise would not test strength or speed first. It would test awareness, patience, and respect for an environment that never forgives shortcuts. The first phase was simple: movement from point A to point B under time pressure. No opposing force, no simulated gunfire, just navigation. Within 10 minutes, sweat-soaked uniforms. Visibility dropped to a few meters. The Koreans moved efficiently but left traces: broken vines, snapped twigs, compressed soil. Filipino instructors followed silently, almost casually, pointing out signs like teachers correcting homework. One instructor whispered, not to mock but educate. The jungle remembers everything. That sentence lingered longer than the humidity, planting the first seed of discomfort among the visiting troops. As minutes passed, the Koreans realized their internal clocks were slipping. Time felt distorted. Distances stretched. What looked like 100 meters became 300. Radios crackled with static caused by moisture and dense canopy. The Filipinos, meanwhile, moved slower yet arrived earlier. They stopped often, not to rest, but to listen. One instructor placed his ear near the ground, feeling vibrations through wet soil. Another tasted water dripping from a leaf to judge upstream conditions. None of this was written doctrine. It was lived knowledge, passed down through generations of jungle operators. The first real tension surfaced when a Korean squad leader signaled a halt, unsure direction. His GPS lagged under canopy cover. The Filipinos exchanged glances, not smug, just understanding. One stepped forward, knelt, brushed aside leaves, and revealed a barely visible trail made by wild boar. Animals choose efficient paths, he explained quietly. They survive here every day. The Koreans followed, half curious, half unsettled. The jungle had already introduced a new instructor, one that didn't speak, but demanded attention at every step. By the second hour, the exercise shifted subtly. Instructors announced a tracking demonstration. One Filipino disappeared into the foliage. The Koreans were tasked with following him after a 10-minute delay. Confidence returned briefly. 10 minutes felt like an eternity. Surely tracks would be obvious. When they moved out, they found nothing. No footprints, no broken branches, just untouched green. Frustration replaced confidence. The Filipino reappeared behind them, not dramatic, just present. In the jungle, he said calmly, movement is optional, presence is not. What the Koreans didn't realize was that the Filipino had moved less than 20 meters from the start point. He had climbed, crouched, waited. The jungle concealed him effortlessly. This wasn't camouflage in the modern sense. It was harmony. The instructors explained how to read negative space, how absence itself tells a story, a leaf that should be wet but isn't, a spider web that remains unbroken. These details felt overwhelming. The Koreans were elite because they mastered systems. The jungle demanded intuition, layered on discipline. As daylight faded, discomfort grew. Leeches appeared. Ants found exposed skin instantly. The Koreans dealt with it professionally, but irritation chipped away at focus. Filipino instructors showed how to apply natural repellents from crushed leaves, how to position rest halts away from insect highways. These weren't survival tricks for emergencies. They were standard operating knowledge. The Koreans began taking notes, not out of politeness, but necessity. The jungle was an opponent. It was a constant variable, shifting faster than any human plan. Night introduced a new layer of uncertainty. Visibility collapsed entirely. Sound multiplied. Every rustle felt amplified. The exercise became a silent observation drill. Koreans set up a defensive perimeter using textbook spacing. Filipinos adjusted it without moving a single man, simply changing posture and orientation. "Your silhouettes are visible," one instructor whispered. "The jungle backlights you." Using leaves and mud, they broke outlines, dissolving human shapes into organic forms. The perimeter didn't change on paper, but in reality, it vanished. Then came the moment no one expected, a simulated infiltration test. The Filipinos would attempt to move through the Korean perimeter without contact. No tricks, no shortcuts, just jungle movement. Within minutes, a tap landed on a Korean soldier's shoulder from behind. He froze. Then another tap, and another. Confusion rippled silently. When lights were finally allowed, the Filipinos were everywhere, inside the perimeter, behind positions, standing where no one had been moments before. There was no celebration, only quiet acknowledgement of a lesson delivered. What stunned the Koreans wasn't that they were breached. It was how. No broken branches, no sound, no warning. The Filipinos explained they timed movements with insect noise, wind shifts, and distant animal calls. They didn't fight the jungle's sounds. They hid inside them. This wasn't mystical. It was practiced awareness refined over years. The Koreans listened intently, faces serious. Elite training had taught them to dominate environments. Here, domination failed. Cooperation succeeded. The following day focused on sustenance and endurance. Limited rations were issued. Koreans rationed carefully. Filipinos foraged selectively, teaching what was safe, what was hydration, what was energy. They explained how to spot signs of contaminated plants, how to avoid parasites. It wasn't about being primitive. It was about efficiency. Carry less, no more. One Korean officer admitted quietly that their packs weighed twice as much as necessary. The jungle, again, punished excess without mercy. As heat peaked, dehydration became the silent enemy. Filipinos demonstrated water sourcing from vines and ground seepage. Koreans tested, verified, adapted. Respect replaced skepticism. Questions flowed freely now. "How long does this take to learn?" one asked. The answer was honest. "Years, if the jungle accepts you." That sentence lingered. Acceptance wasn't guaranteed. It had to be earned through patience, mistakes, and humility. The jungle wasn't impressed by rank or reputation. By the third night, something shifted. The Koreans began moving differently. Slower, quieter, more observant. Filipino instructors noticed immediately. "Now you're listening," one said. The jungle seemed less hostile, not because it changed, but because the humans did. This wasn't surrender. It was adaptation. The exercise had transformed from demonstration to exchange. Korean troops share mountain warfare insights. Filipinos compared terrain psychology. Mutual respect replaced the unspoken competition that marked the first day. Still, one final test remained. A navigation-animated scenario with role reversal. Koreans would attempt to disappear. Filipinos would track. The Koreans planned meticulously, applying lessons learned. They minimized disturbance, used natural cover, slowed pace. For a while, it worked. The Filipinos paused, recalibrated. Then they smiled, not mockingly, but knowingly. "You learn fast, one said. But the jungle still knows who's visiting. Within hours, tracks emerged, not footprints, but patterns of absence. The Koreans were found resting near a stream, convinced they were hidden. The Filipinos approached openly this time. No need for stealth. The lesson was complete. The Koreans stood, nodded, and bowed slightly, a gesture of respect not often seen in training environments. Speechless didn't mean embarrassed. It meant processing something profound. They hadn't lost. They had learned something no simulator could teach. In the debrief, there was no scoreboard, no winner declared. Instead, stories were exchanged, failures discussed openly. Korean commanders admitted their doctrine treated jungles as obstacles, not systems. Filipino instructors explained how colonial history, internal security operations, and terrain necessity shaped their approach. This wasn't about nationality. It was about context. The jungle shaped warriors as much as warriors trained for jungle. One Korean officer summarized it best. "We prepare to fight enemies. You prepare to live here." That distinction changed everything. Jungle warfare wasn't a subset of combat skills. It was an entire mindset. The Filipinos never claimed superiority. They simply acknowledged familiarity. "This is our home," one said. "You defend your home differently." As the exercise concluded, something unexpected happened. Korean troops requested extended training, not more drills, but observation time. They wanted to watch how Filipinos rested, cooked, moved casually. The small things, the things doctrine ignores. The Filipinos agreed. Learning continued without formal structure. That, perhaps, was the most powerful moment. When training stops feeling like training, real understanding begins. Weeks later, reports circulated quietly within both forces. No headlines, no viral clips, just internal notes emphasizing humility, adaptability, and environmental literacy. The Koreans adjusted jungle modules back home. The Filipinos refined their instruction methods. The jungle, unchanged, remained where it always was, patient, indifferent, waiting for the next lesson. Here's the twist most people miss. The Filipinos didn't leave the Koreans speechless because they were better soldiers. They did it because they treated the jungle as a partner, not a problem. And once the Koreans understood that, they weren't silent out of shock, but out of respect. That silence was a sound of learning something fundamental. If this story changed how you think about training, terrain, or respect between forces, share it with someone who loves military history or real-world lessons that don't come from textbooks. Drop a comment with your thoughts and where you're watching from. And if you want more grounded educational stories like this, stories that go deeper than headlines, subscribe, stay curious, and remember, sometimes the most powerful weapon is knowing when to listen